friend and partner in crime. Without her, half of me is gone. Samantha, if you're listening, please get in touch. Please get in touch. Get home.
You're watching Totally True Crime. This case takes us to Stoke-on-Trent in England. 28-year-old Samantha Eastwood was a talented woman. She had trained as a midwife, and in 2018, she was working in the maternity unit at the Royal Stoke University Hospital. She'd been in a relationship with a man called John Peake since 2010, and they were engaged to be married. She had picked out her wedding dress and the ceremony was booked, and life was looking hopeful and exciting for Samantha. But in January 2018, John and Samantha's relationship broke down and the wedding was called off. The couple split up before Samantha could wear the beautiful white lacy dress that she'd bought. She listed it for sale on Facebook for £400, stating that it had never been worn, except when she tried it on in the shop. On the 27th of July, 6 months after her wedding was called off, Samantha worked a night shift on the maternity ward. She was caught on CCTV leaving the hospital when she finished at 7:45 a.m, and she was captured with a female colleague. She was then seen getting into her Volvo car alone. It had been parked in the hospital car park, and CCTV caught her driving it home. But at 7 p.m. that night, Samantha didn't turn up for her night shift. This wasn't like her, so an alarm was raised. Her family found that her car was parked on the driveway of the home that she shared with her ex-partner John Peake, but there was no sign of Samantha. Something that deeply concerned the police and her family were the discovery of her bank cards that she'd left in the house. This meant she had no access to money. Detective Superintendent Simon Duffy told the media that this had ramped up their concerns. But Gemma Eastwood, Samantha's sister, had been messaging Samantha, and she was receiving replies. On the day after she was reported missing, this series of texts were exchanged between the sisters. At 9:50 a.m, Gemma wrote, "Where are you? Ring me to let me know you are safe." Samantha responded, "I love you all. I've had a massive breakdown about stuff. I'm so sorry. I'll be okay. I'm in touch with the helpline. I'm not going to do anything silly. I just want to be left alone." Gemma replied with, "Where are you? Let me come and see you. I won't tell anyone. Just let me come and see you. I won't tell anyone. Let me help you." Samantha said, "Please leave me alone." Gemma continued to message her. She said, "Where are you? Who are you with? We're all worried. The police are involved and they're going to do a press release. Just tell me where you are. I'll come and meet you on my own, and I won't tell anyone." Samantha's phone replied saying, "No, Gem, I'm sick of pretending I'm okay. I'm going to the doctors. I just need some time to blow off some steam." Gemma asked her sister to call the police, but Samantha replied and said, "I just want time for me. I'm sick of Facebook. I just want me time. I'm sorry. I've caused so much stress and upset. I just don't feel myself at the moment, Gemma. You aren't listening. I need time." Gemma again asked her sister to contact her, but Samantha said, "I will soon. Love you all. I mean it. I'll be okay. Speak to you later, I promise." This text conversation ended, but just a few hours later at 12:45 p.m, these messages came from Samantha's phone. "Gem, I'm in a car, blue BMW. He's taking me to the motorway. I'm sorry. I met a guy off the internet. He's mad, I messaged you. The last message from her phone said just 2 words. Lee Davis. The police were told about the text messages, but they did not reveal this information to the public because there was a chance that it was not Samantha writing these messages. If she had come to harm, there's a chance that the culprit had her phone. The local media were now following the case and appealing to locals for information. As the police conducted door-to-door inquiries in the neighbourhood, they came across a neighbour who said they heard a scream coming from Samantha's house at around 2 p.m. on the day she went missing. The police circulated images of Samantha along with a description of her. Samantha was white, around 5'3", a medium build and with shoulder-length ginger hair. She also had freckles. Photos of her in her hospital uniform, holding a baby that she'd just helped deliver, became a frequent sight on social media accounts and in the local and national news. She was now classed as a high-risk missing person. John Peake, Samantha's ex, wrote on Facebook, please help find Sam and bring her home to her family. But members of the public turned against John. They thought he was involved because he was her ex-partner. The police interviewed John and discovered that their breakup had not been a smooth one. Whilst the police interviewed John, they also spoke to Samantha's colleagues at the hospital. One of them revealed that Samantha had told her that she'd recently been threatened. She also told her to call the police if she didn't turn up for her shift that evening. So, when she was 20 minutes late to her shift, her colleague called the police and told them what Samantha had told her. This missing persons inquiry was now shrouded in mystery, and Gemma Eastwood, Samantha's sister, made a public appeal for information.
Samantha is a happy, bubbly and smiley woman. She can be very straight and direct. She's my best friend and partner in crime. Without her, half of me is gone. Samantha, if you're listening, please get in touch. We all love you and miss you very much. We just need you home where you belong. Samantha is a fantastic woman and friend. She's warm, friendly, loyal, kind and generous with a great sense of humour, and whoever she is with will always make their times together fun. Samantha was determined to become a midwife from a young age and succeeded. All of Samantha's work friends describe her as an amazing midwife. She's caring, harmless and gentle. She's selfless and would do anything for anyone before herself. Samantha is 5'3", medium build with ginger shoulder-length hair and green eyes. She has freckles on her arms, face and neck. And I just want to say, if she's out there or anyone knows where she is, just please get in touch. Get home.
Priority remains the safe return of Samantha. This is still a high-risk missing person investigation, and we have nothing to the contrary at this stage. Nothing other to suggest it's anything else at this time. The investigation into Samantha's disappearance is ongoing. There are numerous lines of investigation, as you can imagine. There are specialist officers who continue to search locations around North Staffordshire. As you can imagine, there's a very significant CCTV trawl, so we can look at what's gone on, following on from the last positive sighting of Samantha, which I put out the other day, was at 07:45 or 7:45 a.m. on Friday the 27th by a member of staff at the hospital. Obviously, we'd love to hear from Samantha. You've heard the appeal from Jenna, or anyone who knows where Samantha is. We'd urge them to get in touch with us. Anything they want to tell us will be dealt with in the strictest confidence. I'd made an appeal the other day for anyone in the North Staffordshire area over the weekend who's had anything that they thought was suspicious, something that they didn't feel was quite right. I'll just reiterate that appeal because, you know, if you've seen someone parked in isolated locations, in lay-bys, in car parks, however silly or innocuous it may seem to you, you don't know how useful it may be to us, and I'd urge you to get in touch. I touched on the fact that we were doing a lot of CCTV work. Just further to that appeal the other day, what I would ask for is, I know dash cams are fairly prevalent nowadays, so if anybody who's out and about within North Staffordshire, particularly around Badley Green, on the main arterial routes, has got any dash cam footage, whether they're privately owned, whether it's commercial vehicles or whether transport vehicles, we're getting up now towards the anniversary. It's a week today since the last positive sighting of Samantha. So, you know, if people have got those on record over delays, I'd just ask, you know, we don't know how relevant they may be in the future, but just as a precautionary measure, I would make that appeal to people if they've got those and they've been around North Staffs and Stoke-on-Trent, around that location, that they would retain that footage if at all possible. You just never know if we change the parameters of an appeal as this investigation continues.
100 officers were now involved in the search for Samantha. The public were asked to keep a lookout for abandoned cars in remote places and report them if they came across anything that looked suspicious. As the hours ticked by, the police came more and more concerned for Samantha's safety. But unbeknown to the public, the police did have a prime suspect. 2 days after Samantha was reported missing, an arrest was made. The police didn't announce who had been arrested, except to say that it was not her ex, John Peake. In fact, it was Samantha's former brother-in-law, Michael Sterling. Michael was married to the sister of John Peake, Samantha's ex-fiancé. After speaking to her colleagues in more depth, the police discovered that Samantha had been having an affair with Michael for the past 3 years, and this was why her wedding to John had been called off. She told her colleagues that she was nervous because she had told Michael that she was going to tell his wife about their affair. Michael had been with Samantha's family whilst they looked for her. He had been in search parties looking for her, and he'd been seen hugging and comforting her sister Gemma, as well as appealing for information. 32-year-old Michael Sterling was a landscape gardener. During his police interview, he gave them a prepared statement that said he had no clue as to Samantha's whereabouts and answered no comment to all of the questions asked of him. He was released, but the police were certain that he knew about Samantha's disappearance and what had happened to her. They decided to keep eyes and ears on him. In their initial chat with Michael, before he was arrested, he had told the police that he'd been at Samantha's house on the day she went missing. He said he was working in her garden and he put himself as the last person to have seen her. He also put himself there at the same time the neighbour said she'd heard the scream coming from Samantha's house. Just days after he was released, Michael got on a bicycle and cycled to an area called Tickhill Lane in Caverswall, which is just outside of Stoke-on-Trent. The police tracked him going to a remote part of the lane. It was an area known to Michael because nearby was a disposal centre that he often used to get rid of garden waste he collected from his gardening jobs. What Michael hadn't realised is that he'd just led police straight to Samantha's body. As the officers approached the area that he'd been to, they saw there was a mound of freshly dug earth, and they called the forensics team in. Samantha's body was found, wrapped in a duvet, with tape over her eyes and mouth. The discovery of her body left her loved ones and the wider community heartbroken, and many floral tributes were placed outside of the Royal Stoke University Hospital where she worked. The police had enough evidence to arrest Michael Sterling.
11:05 yesterday morning, specialist search trained officers went to that area where this disturbed earth had been seen, Specialist search trained officers went there and they found a human body buried in a shallow grave, and the human body that was buried within it has been positively identified as Samantha Eastwood. What are you going to tell me about that? No comment. It's no coincidence, is it, Michael? It's no coincidence, is it, that in the areas that these people have seen you and the deposition site of Samantha, it is no coincidence, is it? No comment. You may have made some very, very bad decisions over the last few days, Michael, but I encourage you to make the right decision this afternoon. Please explain to us and tell us what happened to Samantha. No comment. This is a very, very serious matter. She has family and loved ones. They want answers. They deserve those answers about the final movements of their daughter, their sister. I can't provide those answers to them. I need your help. And that's what I'm asking you to do today. Make the right decision now and help explain what happened to her. What have you done to Samantha?
No comment.
Have you killed Samantha Eastwood?
No comment.
If you haven't, tell me who has.
No comment.
Even though he said no comment through most of his interview, he did eventually confess to murdering Samantha Eastwood. In the month prior to Samantha going missing, Michael had called Samantha 128 times, and she'd called him 25 times. The police had started to build a picture of what had happened the day Samantha went missing. Michael had been in her home when she arrived home from her shift, and an argument between the pair had started. They'd struggled on the floor, and Michael put his hands over her mouth, nose and throat, killing Samantha. He said it was not a premeditated murder, but as the argument escalated, he decided to kill her. He then wrapped her body in a duvet and taped her eyes and mouth shut. He said he did this so that they would be protected from the elements when he buried her. He then put her body in the back of his van, texted his wife, and arranged to meet her at her parents' house, where they had dinner together. The whole time, Samantha's body was in his van, parked outside his in-laws' house. At the meal, he was described as fine and cheerful. He then went to Tickhill Lane and buried Samantha's body. He had told his wife he was going out to help look for Samantha as part of the search party. After burying her in a shallow grave, he did in fact join Samantha's family in a search, and this is when he hugged her sister Gemma, a moment that Gemma has since said haunts her. He was also the one who was texting Gemma, pretending to be Samantha. He had fabricated the story about meeting a man called Lee Davis off the internet in a ploy to throw police off his trail. 2 other arrests were made, a 28-year-old male and a 60-year-old male. The 60-year-old was Michael's father, Stephen Sterling. These men were arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender, but the charges were later dropped. Michael Sterling pled guilty to murdering Samantha Eastwood. His defence cited that he had experienced serious mental health issues in the past, and in the days following the murder, he had searched for ways to take his own life. The judge sentenced him to life in prison and ordered him to serve a minimum term of 17 years. A tribute to Samantha on a GoFundMe page that was set up to help the family pay for her funeral read, quote, Samantha was a lovely young woman who helped to bring so many lives into this world. She had a bright future ahead of her, and sadly, this was taken away far too soon. Samantha's story has been followed by midwives and NHS workers worldwide. They have been touched by the kind words from mothers Samantha had cared for in her role as a midwife. Samantha was described as warm, gentle, and kind, and will be remembered for her amazing efforts as a midwife, and is truly missed by many. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please do like and subscribe for weekly videos like this. You've been watching Totally True Crime.